Today, we talk about one of the biggest enigmas of the UFC, the legendary and all-powerful Derrick Lewis. Known for his classic and wild celebrations, and his insane power and excitement, and last but not least, some of his infamous poetic words.
My balls was hot. I understand.
This fight showed Lewis's ability to sustain punishment from heavyweights for some time. It really consolidated him as the permanent threat regardless of scorecards. He struggled to land the big punches he wanted and kept getting countered heavily, and even tried to wrestle, which is not definitely his favorite thing to do. He struggled with the range of Volkov, though eventually he found a way to get it done by landing the one big shot that he tends to find when getting his wins. But let us not forget about why he is so good and why he has run through a lot of heavyweights, including Curtis Blades by vicious knockout, Alexander Volkov by vicious knockout, and Francis Ngannou by vicious knock. Well, let's not talk about that one, okay? Regardless of anything, he is a decorated winner with the most knockouts in UFC heavyweight history. And that says a lot about how dangerous he is. Derrick Lewis has had an interesting background, having spent time in prison before he understood it was time to change it around, once he found out he had a gift for fighting inside prison. So I got up, pulled him by his legs from the top bunk, and just started beating up on him. I really don't like talking about it, Lewis explained. Once outside, his truck-driving friend introduced him to martial arts as a way to clear his mind and help his body. He amassed 8 knockout wins before getting the green light into the UFC, where he took on Jack May for his UFC debut in 2014 and won by, well, let me show you how.
Oh, he went to try to take him down, but he got down to the ground himself.
45 seconds.
Oh, big
Trying to
shot
finish a
right
fight
there.
right here.
Jack May's in trouble.
May
He's in
trying to
trouble.
intelligently defend himself. And it's all over.
That's it.
Derrick Lewis.
Big.
In the fights, he showed his ability to negate wrestling and simply overpower his opponents, something that would become a pattern for Lewis. His rise to stardom was fast, and he was well-liked and adored by everyone for his in- and outside-the-cage antics, including this one against Junior Dos Santos.
Problems for Derrick Lewis, whether he was faking it a little bit or not. I don't think he was. No.
Moments like those really consolidated him and helped him build a case for a title shot. Following his infamous win over Volkov at UFC 229, he got the quick call only a month later to face the then heavyweight champion Daniel Cormier. There was some anticipation for this fight, though Daniel Cormier was at his prime and went into the fight as a heavy 380 betting favorite in most houses. Cormier, a decorated wrestler and known as one of the greatest of all time on the ground, had the upper hand, and stylistically was a nightmare for Lewis, even with some improved wrestling.
About how this fight's gonna go.
So less than a minute in, Daniel Cormier gets his first takedown.
And he didn't have to work all that hard for that one.
No, he did not.
The end wasn't good for Lewis, as he ended up getting submitted in round 2, and Daniel Cormier remained the champion. While it wasn't the ideal outcome for Lewis, it was far from over. Following this outcome, he wanted to try again. He attempted to bounce back with a bout against Junior Dos Santos. It was a tough bout, which he lost by way of technical knockout at the very end of round 2.
Give Dos Santos something to think about. Big right from Sagano. Oh, Lewis covering up, and a big uppercut there. Oh, he's rocked, John. Lewis in recovery mode early, round 2. He's got to get out. Junior Dos Santos.
Upset, Lewis wanted to turn things around and build yet another run for the belt. He knew he could do it. First, a split decision over Ivanov at UFC 244 in a close fight where he landed the more damaging shots. Then a unanimous decision win over Latifi at UFC 247, which is unusual for Derrick to go the distance twice in a row. Then a round 2 knockout over Alexei Oleinik, and he wasn't done there, where he finally got the knockout and the momentum needed to get up in the rankings. This fight showed us his brawling tendencies. If you're looking for a crisp and clean fight, it's not going to be with Lewis. This was all before he even had the knockout against Blades. Derrick timed the uppercut perfectly as Blades went in for a takedown. He finished Curtis Blades in a devastating fashion. Lewis got a vicious knockout. He proved he could get it done against a wrestler, and coming into that fight, he was a 250-plus underdog. After this fight, he wanted the next title shot, and luckily for him, there was an incoming Frenchman who wanted a dance partner for the interim belt. Gane had himself a streak going with an undefeated 9-0 MMA record at the time and went into this one as a sizable -380 favorite. Gane was on a tear with his own combination of finishes being strung together. With middleweight-like movement, supreme Muay Thai and kickboxing skills, and tremendous cardio, Gane looked unstoppable in the build-up to this fight. It would be a very hard feat for Lewis, although he was ready. Gane had his way with the range, and all these little leg kicks gave him comfort, while Lewis failed to find his entries. He couldn't land at all. Gane completely neutralized Lewis's style, which is, as always, to find the one big shot that puts his opponent out cold. Until Ciryl Gane picked him apart and got the ground and pound finish, where Mark Smith was forced to call stop the fight and declare Ciryl Gane the winner.
That's it. It's over now. And that is it! France has the UFC.
Unfortunately, it wasn't his night, with Ciryl Gane finding the technical knockout at the end of round 3, becoming the interim champ of the heavyweight division. Lewis had once more come short. But was it all over? Perhaps a rebound fight was all he needed. He got the finish he longed for and was back on the win column. But what was next for Lewis? A fight with the rising and electrifying prospect Bam Bam Tuivasa would be a challenge for the heavy hitter. With both fighters loved by all, it was a scrap. And Lewis even had his moments on this one. Here, for example.
He's not exposed. There it is.
And even showed to have improved in the wrestling department. But it wasn't the ending we expected.
Oh, Tommy is a big right hand.
Derrick's hurt.
Massive right hand.
Derrick's hurt.
Job and again.
Derrick's hurt bad.
He's bad. Oh, big elbow from Tuivasa. He's knocked him out. Bam, bam.
Lewis had a challenge yet again in front of him, this time in another rising prospect, a heavy hitter, Sergey Pavlovich. It wasn't looking good for Lewis. A controversial ending to this fight left Lewis with a sour taste, and now he wants to make these wrongs right. And will he do so? After all, this can't be the end of the story to one of our favorite knockout artists. Perhaps he still has some gas left in his tank for one last run. Lewis now takes on another Russian by the name of Sergey Spivak, the polar bear. In a previously scheduled fight, Lewis wishes to make the magic happen again. Could we see the Black Beast get his hand raised? His training camp looks to be going well, and there are rumors that he may have lost some weight, which could mean big improvements to his otherwise questionable cardio. Hopefully, we see this happen again.